Good morning, everybody. This is Judith Echo. You're listening to Mad Love. Let's get into it. So, it's been very fascinating to me. I never heard of Charlie Kirk, or if I had, it was really in passing. I was not someone that ever even paid this dude any attention. Our paths didn't cross, right? And now my timeline is full of Charlie Kirk. So let's be clear. I'm not a conservative. I never watched Fox. I wasn't as turned off by Candace Owens and Tucker Carlson as everybody else was, but I would never watch Fox. And now I watch them when they're independent and on YouTube. And while I don't agree with everything they talk about, I've learned quite a bit watching their shows. I haven't watched any Tucker on this Charlie Kirk thing, but he was friends with them. And Candace Owens was friends with him. And what's interesting is, it was another lady I watched. She found an interview between this DC independent journalist and a comedian, Tim Dillon. Why are only comedians allowed to talk about political stuff? You know what I mean? It's so fascinating. Journalists aren't covering the stuff that comedians are covering. So anyway, moving on. So I listened to this, and so I learned a lot. So there's a woman named Sabby Sabs. That's the name of Sabrina something. That's the name of her YouTube channel. And she's interesting. She seems like she skews conservative, a black conservative, but not as extreme as Candace. But, I don't care who you vote for real. I really just care about what kind of person I believe you to be. And if I can count on your credibility. I can disagree with you but if I feel like you're being honest, that means something to me. So during this Tim Dillon interview, what's really fascinating is they explain the history of Charlie Kirk's organization. So this turning point thing was started in about 2012, which would make him really young because he died at 31. So he was really young. He had dropped out of junior college, but at the behest of this older man. I want to say he was an older Jewish man, and he saw that the Republican Party was in danger because all of their people that loved that party were mostly older. So he wanted to create an environment for younger Republicans. And he had to hire somebody. He gave this kid like millions of dollars. And Charlie had been talking about free markets and like business stuff. And it just didn't take off. He was doing those college tours and it didn't take off. So then what he really wanted, the financier guy behind this movement really wanted Charlie to create a place for Israel on college campuses, like make young people support Israel. And he could talk about whatever he wanted. So after the free market stuff didn't work, then he moved on to all this other stuff that he's known for, the conservatism and all of the super extreme Christian stuff that the financier guy didn't care about. He was like, look, you just need to lay a foundation for Israel, and then you can put whatever you want on top of it. Because we don't care about any of that. We just want Americans to continue to support the state of Israel, which makes no sense. But okay. So he agrees to do that, and he blows up. And then it's all these Jewish people that start giving him money. Didn't I tell you something didn't seem right? So if this guy is to be believed, which I believed him, he was like, it was all over DC that Charlie was really indebted to Israel and to the Jewish community that had poured millions upon millions of dollars into this young man's organization, the Turning Point thing. And so as he started to go and get bigger and bigger, I told somebody they used this guy, and they did. They used him, and they got all of this traction. They got their man back in office and all this stuff. And Charlie, being a Christian that he said he was pro-life and began to have problems with this Israel just wiping out Palestine. And we've all seen, and this is the reason why they took TikTok, like they want to mess up TikTok, because it was clear that this group of people had a problem with Israel's response and basically cleaning out the Gaza Strip. And you can call it whatever you want, and people who are in very powerful positions with deep pockets really don't want that to ever enter the narrative. They are pro-Israel no matter what. And if you say anything against them, then you're an anti-Semite. I am not an anti-Semite. I don't understand their response. I don't understand them bombing everybody, and I don't understand why we have to keep paying them so much money to support them. I read a number, and I'm not sure what it is, but we send them something like $80 million a month or something crazy, and I don't know if that's true or not. But we have sent millions upon millions upon millions of dollars to Israel. And for all the tough talk from Trump and Kash Patel and all these people, everybody just seems okay with it. Once they were running, it was like, we're going to do what we want. You can't stop us. And then it's obvious that Israel controls the United States, and none of us can figure out why. So now once Charlie decided to be like, I'm opposed to this, I don't believe in any of this because I'm a Christian. Now this is where you get in trouble. And I told somebody, when you create a persona, and he was too young when he made this deal. When you create a persona, you get locked in to that persona. And it changes your brain once you start getting these hits and clicks and likes, and people are following you and they're listening to you and they're hanging on your every word. It appeals to your ego. And now you're locked in. You're locked into this way of being in the world. And these people have paid you handsomely to be this way. This is why I'm telling you, it was a skilled marksman that took him out like that. And it seems more than obvious that he was getting pressure because he had turned his back on his funders. But that's the thing. He didn't think he was. That's why I'm saying he was used, because he didn't think that he was being used in the way he was being used, because they put it to you one way, but in reality, you have to be loyal to Israel at all costs. And that's it. And it's just starting to make people uncomfortable when Americans are struggling to buy groceries, when everything is sky high. People can't even dream of buying a house. People are trying to figure out how to make ends meet. And we're just sending boatloads of cash out of the country every day. Something is going on. And I'm very small. I have very small listenership. But, people like Candace Owens and Tucker Carlson and Sabby Sabs and all these people with much bigger platforms, all of us are going, what's happening? And it's harder for them, especially Tucker and oh, my allergies have been bananas. Excuse me. Especially for Tucker and Candace, because they voted for Trump. They believe in Trump. But also what came out in this interview is that Trump is scared. He's scared. He's going to this DC writer, journalist, said what I said, which is there have been 2 assassination attempts on Trump. And I believe that's true. I believe that shooting by his ear was a message. Do you know how hard it is to just shoot and aim at somebody's ear and not hit them in the head? And then there was another one that didn't get as much publicity. And I think this targeting of Charlie Kirk was a message to Trump. And the journalist agreed. He was like, yeah, he's really terrified. He's scared for his own safety. Something is not right. And I think we're going to find out all kinds of stuff, all kinds of manipulation, all kinds of things that we couldn't have even imagined. And it's been at the hands of, I don't even know what you would call it, these extreme mercenary. If you listen to this interview, the guy has pretty credible reports that there was when Netanyahu visited the White House, he left bugs in the bathroom, that there are bugs all around D.C. trying to get Trump's phone calls. He visited the UK. Netanyahu left a bug or something in the toilet of the UK Prime Minister or somewhere. Like, there's something going on. And then when you read about Netanyahu, that's not even his real name. None of these people are actually, I think, from Israel. The people that run Israel are not from Israel. They're from, I think he's from Poland or somewhere. I need to look it up. It's deep. It's so much deeper than you think. And it feels like we're in the Manchurian Candidate, and maybe we are in a Tom Clancy book. I just hope it has a pleasant and, a final resolution. Like, we need to get to the bottom of this and fix it, because there are a lot of people in this country who believe it to be something that it's not. I also heard yesterday, 60% of Americans have a below 6th grade reading level. How is that a country to be proud of? I mean, if you ever look around like, are people dumb? Yeah, they are. They can't read. So you know what that means? They can't comprehend anything. There was something when I was in school called reading comprehension. So we had reading and we had reading comprehension. And if you couldn't understand what you read, it didn't even matter. If you could read all day long and you still couldn't comprehend what you read, that was problematic. So now what's reading comprehension? It's probably a 0. So I don't know. It's a very interesting time to be an American, because people are finally waking up. It's taking a long time, but listen, on my birthday, the day before my birthday, I was out with one of my favorite mentors, and she was looking at me like, you need to put on a little tinfoil hat. You sound crazy. And I was like, I get it. But you make the assumption that the FBI wouldn't lie to us. I don't believe these kids are doing all these shootings. I just don't. I've watched enough murders on body cam footage, on ring cam, all the surveillance footage you could think of. I've seen hours upon hours upon hours of footage for work. I had to study it. And I'll be honest with you, I've seen a lot of young people spray a lot of bullets. And while I don't want people to be great at murder, go to target practice. These shots ain't missing. And when they miss, it's on purpose. Yeah, it's something going on. We really are in a Tom Clancy movie. I'm super sad Robert Redford died on my birthday. He was one of my favorite actors, and for years he was fine. Back when I was born, but you go back to Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid, and one of my favorites was Butch Cassidy and Sundance Kid is one of my favorites, but Barefoot in the Park, hilarious, with Jane Fonda, so funny. He was so cute. The Way We Were, Hubble, that one was rough. When You Love a Pretty Boy, makes me sad he died on my birthday. But, was it All the King's Men? what was that thing with the Watergate movie? I mean, something is really, really going on. And I think that's all going to shake out, and it's going to have long-term devastating but positive consequences, because maybe, just maybe, that frees up some money to help families take care of their loved ones. Because the secret, giant, big-ass elephant in the room is when people start to realize that their grandma and grandpa, their mom and dad, these people that are tipping into their 70s and 80s, are getting ready to really, really tax the system in bigger ways than you can even fathom. You can't even think about it. I couldn't even get my mom in to see a neurologist for a year. It was 9 months to 12 months to get an appointment. And if everybody has all these neurological issues, what are we going to do? And I had always hoped that the federal government was with it enough and cared about its citizenry enough that they would force some of these private pay places to take more Medicaid patients. But they don't care about that. They out here stacking cash to do what they do. They robbing the till. And apparently it all has to go either to these underground bunkers I've heard they've built, or to Israel, or to somewhere else, but it ain't coming to us. They have taken effectively all of our tax money and done whatever the fuck they want. And it doesn't matter. You can be mad at Trump, but you can also say they all participated in that terrible system. They all have. The president, at this point, to me, is just a theatrical job. They're just up there waving their hands and saying certain shit. But whoever's really in charge, these billionaires who bought off all the politicians, yeah, they're the ones calling the shots. And you don't even know their names. The ones we know their names, they're not nearly as scary as the people we have no idea what their names are. We don't know what they look like. And we sure as hell didn't vote for them. I'm telling you, all of this is going to come down in some spectacular way. And I just hope it benefits us all when it does. And I think it will. But we ain't going to be number one. Well, we're not number one in anything now. I mean, people like to think they are, but we not. We not. We can't read. We don't understand what we read. Everybody unhealthy. People sick. Our food makes us sick. It's like, if this was a party, we'd all be in the coat room. Yeah, it's like in the 1945, when America became the shit for winning World War II, everybody was like, oh, the party's over here. Who all gonna be there? Okay, yeah, let's go. Pick up some fish. Let's head in there. And now the party is over. And there's some drunk people passed out in the corner. The music is off. It's like, where's my coat? Yeah, it's a lot. It's a lot. So, I don't know. It's fascinating. Interesting. So, take care. Have an amazing day. I know it sounds grim, but it's not. This all has to come down. And we're in a season astrologically where it should come down. It has to. This is terrible. We've been scammed. And I would say it started with Reagan, and it's kind of, and maybe it started even before then. I just was alive and I could pay attention. And I know my family seemed different after Reagan. So, but it's probably been going on the whole time. Scam likely. But you can take care of yourself. You can protect yourself. You can get skills. You can get a community around you. And we can ride it out. Because it's going to get gnarly, man. It's already gnarly. It's going to get worse. But then it'll get good. I really believe that. So stay encouraged. And be of good cheer. As my dad would tell you. Because, God wins. Always does. Have an amazing day.